Big news this week, we learned that Northeast Dallas is the #1 most searched area by all home buyers in the entire United States. Interest rates are still struggling to stay above 6.5%, and more people are applying for mortgages. But what does that mean for the Dallas real estate market? Hello, my name is Michael. I'm a real estate agent here in the Dallas area, and every Monday I give you a weekly update covering all of Dallas County. We'll be covering both cities and zip codes so you can know exactly what's happening here in the market. We're looking for trends, which cities and zip codes are the hottest this week if you may be looking to sell your home, and which cities and zip codes are the coolest this week if you're a buyer maybe looking for a deal. We'll also be tracking mortgage rates as well as mortgage purchase applications, as that's our best leading indicator to what demand is going to look like 30 to 90 days from now. We're looking at things like median list price, days on market, how many homes had price decreases, and inventory. If this sounds like something you're into, make sure and hit the subscribe button. And if you're looking to make a move anywhere in the Dallas area, whether it's next week or next year, I'd love to connect. I've helped every one of these yellow dots on the map find their little piece of Texas, and I'd love to help you too. Just call, text, or shoot me an email. All that info is in the description below. Okay, today is May 15th. Let's see what the data is telling us. And if this is an old video, you can click on the playlist here, and hopefully it will take you to the most current weekly update. First up is market news. So as you can see here, this company called House Fresh did a study following Zillow sales from America's 100 most populous cities, narrowed it down by neighborhood, number of days listed, and number of page views. They calculated the average number of page views for each listing and number of daily views. They found that Northeast Dallas had the most daily page views on Zillow of any neighborhood in the entire country. As you can see here, over 36,000 views a day. So if you want to read more about that, I'll put the link in the description. Moving on. So if you'll remember last week, after 2 weeks of basically being flat, the market took off straight up last week. This week, we're just continuing to go straight up, which tells us again, every day, home buyers are getting more and more used to these higher rates. So let's start with mortgage rates. So after 4 weeks above our 6.5% line in the sand, rates are still trying to break below. We're starting out this week at a 6.55, but if we look last week, you can see here we had a day at 6.49. So we started out 6.5, bounced up, bounced all the way back to 6.49. Then we ended the week at 6.55, and that's where we're starting. So as you know, for me, all year long, when rates are below 6.5%, people are applying for mortgages, demand is going up, and then as soon as rates get above 6.5%, mortgage applications decline and demand starts drying up. But for 2 consecutive weeks, even with rates above 6.5%, mortgage purchase applications have gone up 5% the last 2 weeks. So a 5% increase in demand 2 weeks ago and a 5% increase in demand last week. And I believe that's just because we're right on that 6.5 line and we keep dipping a little bit below, which again is evidence that if we break below that 6.5 in any kind of significant way, demand is going to shoot through the roof. So if you combine that with the rest of the data we're looking at, again, the picture that's being painted here is just buyers are getting used to these higher rates. And if you're thinking of waiting to buy a home because you think rates are going to drop, please listen to this and then rewind it and listen to it again. If you'll look here, the median housing price in Dallas is almost to its all-time high, $469,900. We're at $459 now. This dot coincides with this dot. This is exactly 1 year ago. 1 year ago this week, the median list price was $450,000. Rates at that time were at least 1% lower than they are now. So there was a lot more demand back then than there is now. Yet, prices are still higher now. What does that tell you? When rates actually do drop below 6.5% for any extended period of time, demand is going to greatly increase. And we saw this in January. In January, rates went from over 7% all the way down to 5.99%. And the result of that was from January to February, we saw a 28% increase in prices in Dallas County. What more evidence do you need? Not only would prices skyrocket again, the more difficult part is that everything is going to be multiple offers. High rates have been artificially holding down demand. And even at that, there are still more than enough buyers for the amount of inventory we have now. That's why prices are going up. So if rates come down at all and that artificial barrier holding down demand is gone, I'm telling you, that's not a market you want to compete in. You may think it's wise to wait and see if rates drop so you can get a better monthly payment. But the reality is, if that happens, you're going to be offering $40,000 over on every house you look at just to try and compete. The smartest thing you can do, in my opinion, if you do think rates are going to drop, is to buy now while demand is at its lowest. You are competing with the least people that you possibly can right now. And if you are right and rates do drop, that's great. That means you already own a home and now you get to refinance at those lower rates you were hoping for. So you got the house without being in multiple offers and you got the great low monthly payment from the lower rate. And many lenders are even offering a free refinance within your first year right now. And if you happen to be wrong and rates do continue up, then you can't even buy a house because your monthly payment is going to be way too high. So if you can buy a house, buy a house. And if you're still on the fence, please watch this video. Okay, let's move on to the housing data. Okay, we always start by looking at Dallas County as a whole. We use what's called the Market Action Index. All it is it takes all this information over here and puts it into one easy graphic here. Anything below a 30 would be a buyer's market, anything above a 30, and we're asking how much of a seller's market is it. As you can see, we're still in a strong seller's market, hotter than it was last month, not by much in Dallas County, but you see that little sliver of white between the gray area and this line, that's how much hotter it is than last month. So you can see here, the median list price continues to climb. We just looked at that a minute ago. The median days on market has been at 28 for several weeks, I think 3 or 4 weeks now. The number of homes having price decreases went down a little bit, 35%. Again, that number is not concerning. That's a totally normal number of homes in any market to be seeing a price decrease. Inventory has a little uptick, but you can see all year it's basically stayed flat, which again means any increase in demand is going to drive this line down. We're not stacking up any inventory, even with rates above 6.5%. The really surprising number here is rent seems to be going through the roof. And if you want to be set up on all of this data for your specific city or zip code, price point, whatever, just leave me a comment, shoot me a text, and I'll get you set up. So I don't want to spend too much time on this part. Again, it's just evidence that the market is red hot and there's no signs of it slowing down. So if you're waiting to buy a home, why? Okay, let's move on to my favorite part, the top 10 charts. So here we rank the top 10 hottest and coolest cities and zip codes, and this is out of all 84 zip codes in Dallas County. For some reason this week, my weekly zip codes are not loading. We'll see if they do, but let's start with these. Okay, looking at the top 10 hottest cities in all of Dallas County, Grapevine, Louisville, Carrollton, Irving all remain in the top spots just as last week. Grand Prairie moves up 1 spot. Garland actually moves up 4 spots, so Garland is heating up big time. Richardson and Duncanville remain in their spots. Coppell actually moves down 4 spots, but you can see it's not even that it moved down, it's just it didn't continue going straight up like the rest of these. And then Saxe moves down 1 into the number 10 on the hottest cities list. Now we like to zoom in on the zip codes, and specifically the 75063 zip code of Irving, Texas is red hot. Look at that line going straight up. It's at 86.26. The number 2 zip code, Grapevine, Texas 76051, then Carrollton 75007, Grand Prairie 75052, Garland 75044, Dallas 75252, Louisville 75067, Garland 75041, Irving 75062, and Garland 75040. So if you live in any of these zip codes, you literally live in one of the top 10 hottest zip codes out of all 84 in Dallas County. Like I said, the weeklies aren't loading this week, so let's move on. Now we're at the top 10 coolest cities and zip codes this week. So Ferris, Sunnyvale, Seagoville, Red Oak, Dallas, Lancaster, and Wiley all remain in their spots on the coolest cities in Dallas County. Mesquite cools off 2, Cedar Hill heats up 1, and DeSoto remains the hottest city on the coolest cities list. But again, remember 30 and under is a buyer's market, so by the time you get to DeSoto at a 64.5, that's still a very hot market even though it's on the coolest list. As you can see, the bottom of the hottest list was a 66.92. So not a huge difference between these two. But if you're looking for an opportunity, Seagoville and Sunnyvale are very slow compared to the rest of the market here. Looking at the coolest zip codes, again, 30 and under is buyer's market, but at least these are in the 30s all the way up here to this one. So starting with Dallas 75212, Ferris 75125, Dallas 75203, Dallas 75209, Dallas 75235, Dallas 75230, Dallas 75219, Sunnyvale 75182, Dallas 75208, and Seagoville 75159. So there are plenty of zip codes within Dallas where there will be buy opportunities, at least compared to the rest of the market. Moving on to inventory, again, this is not a great picture, so this is the 90-day average. We want to see this start to flatten out and curve up, but we always zoom in on the weekly to see if we can spot trends early. And as you can see, Dallas has been completely flat, which is better than straight down, but again, any increase in demand is going to send this thing down and it's going to be trouble. Mesquite is still actually trending down. Garland's trending down. Grand Prairie has a little bounce here, but overall this trend is down. Wiley had a little bounce a few weeks ago and it's kind of flattening out. Irving looks like it's making a nice bottom. Richardson is making a nice bottom, starting to curve up a little. Same with Rowlett. Red Oak is still trending down, and Carrollton, it's hard to tell at this point, but it's looking like it's trying to flatten out. So not a great picture for inventory, not what we were hoping for, and especially in the spring market when we're expecting more buyers to be coming in, but it is what it is. You just got to work with what the data is telling you. So that's it for this week. I would love any feedback from you guys on how I can improve these videos. What's some data that you'd like to see? And again, if you're ever looking to buy or sell in the Dallas area, just call, text, or shoot me an email. I'd love to connect. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.